My name is Aisha. Welcome to One Elder Speaks. I have been watching the systems and the culture that we live in for quite some time, and boy, I tell you what, I have a lot to say about it now. The system that we have all agreed to be a part of and that we have all agreed is worthy is one that venerates profit over humanity, money over the ecology. It venerates the rich. I mean, I feel like we live in a plutocracy, or at least the United States and in a bunch of first world countries are plutocracies. It's all about the rich, and we're not talking just the surgeon who's making cash. I'm talking stupid rich, like corporate rich, like billions and billions and billions of dollars rich, and it keeps. Over the decades, I mean, I've been paying attention for a while now, and in the 60s and 70s, I actually had hope that we were going to make changes in the systems, and the systems were going to be changed from within, and they were good, good people were going to be put in positions of power, and that was how that was going to work. But I'm telling you, that is not what I'm seeing. After all these years, this is what I'm seeing is more greed, more corruption, more rules and regulations that have been put into place to stop people from having any kind of say as to what happens to our ecology and what happens to to humanity, to the education system, to anything that has anything to do with anything altruistic. Recently I was reminded by God that who we are is love. And if there's anything else in our hearts but love, we've missed the boat. We have lost ourselves. We have lost our connection to God, because God is love. God is love, and I will have no other God before love. Just be assured of that. And after all this time, after everything that I've seen, I'm not seeing anything get better. I'm not seeing any of the institutions get better. I'm not seeing any kind of improvements. And if there is an improvement, it's very short-lived. They're trying to take back all the abortion rights that they fought so long and hard for in the 70s, in the 60s. They're trying to make people feel bad about being gay still, and about things that were issues decades ago. I thought these were resolved, and they're trying to take them back again. Which just goes to tell you they don't give a fuck about us. They don't give a fuck about you. What they care about is their bottom line. What they care about is their profits and their stock portfolio, and how much power that all gets them at the end of the day. The media is owned by just a few entities, and they set the narrative. They tell us what to think and how to think, and all day long they jabber. But the truth is they're not going to tell you the whole entire truth, because they are getting their orders, their marching orders, from their corporate masters. So if you think that's unbiased, you're out of your living mind. And not one side or the other is better. And I've been a bleeding heart liberal for decades now. And I used to believe in the democratic process, and I used to believe in the Democratic Party. But I'm beginning to really, really, really come to the understanding that there is no difference between Democrat and Republican. One just hides it a little bit. One is more interested in hiding what shady characters they are, and the other one is just openly shady. But they're still shady. They have their own agenda, and it's all about profit, and it's all about money, and it's never going to be about anything else. Not ever. They set up the rules and the regulations that are in these institutions, and I have to tell you, back in the in the 70s, we were like, we're going to change it from within. We're going to work within the system, and that's how we change it. But I can tell you right now, nothing's changed, and they're going to take it all away, all of our rights. Right now, if you're scared in a protest, you can start running over protesters if you'd like in my state. All you have to do is pretend to be scared. It's ridiculous. But they want us to be afraid to protest, and I'll tell you why. When we are okay, the system that they have set up is one that gets us separated from one another, gets us apart from one another, gets us fearful for our jobs, for our livelihood, for our future, that makes sure that we don't start talking to other people or set up some sort of a conversation regarding what they're doing and what their actual agenda is and why it is that they work for us and yet they're not really working for us, are they? No. I mean, we've never even entered into the picture. We don't even matter. But their profit line does. You know, what they make does. That's what they want. And they want us to venerate the rich so that we can feel bad about being poor when it's their fucking problem that we were poor anyway. I mean, I didn't choose this shit. This, having a real difficult time getting a job with a decent pay and having to fight for that and run through hoops and give them all my personal information and make sure I'm not Bonnie and Clyde where I'm not privy to their books. Open up your frickin' books. Tell me who you are. You working for the good guys or are you part of the bad shit? Anyway, I'm trying to make a joke. I gotta stop that. I mean, they've made it to where we can't even get healthy food. They're going to keep us sick. The pharmaceutical companies are definitely going to keep us sick. You know, my mother probably had an issue with her vagus nerve, and it was affecting a whole bunch of stuff. So she was on 20 plus medications when she passed away. When she passed away, she was diagnosed with positive for COVID, but what is it they called? Non-symptomatic. She wasn't showing any symptoms of it. The woman had emphysema and the woman had advanced emphysema and COPD. And you're telling me it's not affecting her at all? That's interesting. That's very interesting. Oh, and the cause of death on this, on the certificate was COVID, which seems weird for non-symptomatic. She actually couldn't swallow any longer and didn't wish to be put on a PICC line and be put in a nursing home. So, and that and she was with no indication of stroke, by the way. So I really do think it was with the vagus nerve, which is also associated with multiple autoimmune syndromes, which she also was diagnosed positive for all that crap. Fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, IBS, colitis, all that stuff. I'm telling you, it is just... You talk to the doctors about these sorts of things and they don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear that you have an idea that maybe something that they didn't learn in school might actually have an issue with their client. No. This is good. We're going to get them on another prescription and we'll make sure that the symptoms are masked so that we never ever actually find out what the problem is. That's the system that we live in. You know, the pharmaceutical companies are making bank and they have for years. I mean, why do you think people don't want to get the vaccine? Because they don't trust the pharmaceutical companies. It's not because we're like anti-science. We're anti those corporate bastards that are making bank. Why would I trust them? They've never done a damn thing for me except for hike up the prices of everything just so they could make a damn dollar. Those assholes would have me sick for the rest of my life, because that's their bottom line, They're very invested in keeping me ill and keeping you ill too. So let's make sure that the foods that we get are not healthy for us. And let's make sure that the medications that we get mask the symptoms and don't address the issues. And let's make sure that the medical community is all on board with all that. We'll make sure that the education of the medical community is steeped in all these principles. And this is what we know and this is what we think. And this is all that all of our studies say that we're right. I'm sure they do. I'm sure you funded those fucking studies. Well, why wouldn't they, tout your party line just like the media does for the conglomerates that own them? It's all about the money. And I don't like this system. This is not who I am. I was conceived in love. And if these systems are not putting humanity and the ecology first, then these systems need to be razed to the ground. Yeah, you heard me. Now, mind you, I would never, ever, ever advocate any kind of violent solution because I don't believe in that. But you know what? The reason they want us separate from one another is because when we come together with one common goal, guess what happens? Then we channel God. Because there's God source and then there's God the collective. You and I, of myself and by ourselves, we're not going to get heard very well or very easily. Our voice is just not going to reach that far. But once we talk to other people and go, hey, don't you feel the same way? Don't you think that these systems should be serving us? Don't you think that these systems should be serving the planet? Should be serving the animal population? Should be serving the foods? Not GMOs, not contrails that don't condensate, Don't we want to live in a world that is more in accordance with what we were supposed to at our birthright? I mean, from our birthright. We were not naked. We were fine. But we thought we were less than. We bought that. Oh, we must be less than. They have cool stuff. They have pretty clothes. Let's do what they tell us to do. Let's go that route. Well, we bought it. And it's pretty much gotten us here. And just to let you know, the more inflation, let's just get into the COVID thing real quick. The largest transfer of money from the bottom to the top happened during COVID. So this served their agenda very well. They don't want that to stop because those greedy bastards have lost their connection to God. They're trying to suck you of all your life and all your resources and all your energy. It's something along that line. And they'll never get enough. There's not enough to fill them. Okay? There's not enough in this planet to fill them, to make them feel right with themselves, at peace. And so they're just going to, bleed us dry. And because of that, they're going to continue to drain us and continue to drain us. And this supply chain issue, I don't think this was COVID. By this time, these things should have reworked themselves to a point where they were working. That's not what's happening. So, obviously, this has been brought on by these folks that generally do give us this stuff. And they did it to raise prices and to cause inflation. And they're going to blame Russia for this oil hike, but it has nothing to do with them. All along, oil companies have been reporting record profits. Pharmaceutical companies are reporting record profits. Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates are swimming in profits. And I got to tell you, you start looking into that, that is a very interesting stream of consciousness to go on. It opens up many items. So, my thinking on this is that I would never call for any kind of violent or anything like that because I don't believe in that. But I do believe in civil disobedience. I do believe that we are going to have to raise our voice. We're going to have to decide that we're not taking this bullshit anymore, and we're going to set up systems that are, number one, transparent, and I mean all the way from the international banking systems down to the last homeless person on the street. Everybody gets transparency. Everybody gets to see what's going on with the money. Let's everybody be all up in everybody's shit. Because then we can go, oh, this is not good. You did that. You do that. What the hell is going on here? And then we can start making changes. If there's nothing for anybody, if you can't hide your criminal activity, no, it's not profitable to be criminal anymore, is it? They've set up rules and regulations to hide their criminal activity. They've set up rules and regulations to hide that they're bleeding you dry. They've set up rules and regulations to keep these institutions in power. So do you think we're going to change the world by working within the system? Hadn't happened so far. I wouldn't look for it to change. But when we decide to come together as individuals and come into a collective that says, we're done here. If you are not transparent, if you're not working for the good of humanity, if you're not working for the good of ecology, if you are continuing to use oil and gas as if it's a forever deal and we're all raking in the high money, stuff, if these are the ways that you're thinking and doing business, we're not going to buy your shit no more. We're also going to protest because we're tired of congressmen and congress ladies who, Democrat or Republican, it doesn't bloody matter. We're tired of them saying one thing and doing another. I can't tell you how many Congresses worth of Democrats do absolutely fucking nothing. And they're not pussies, but what they are is they're making bank. So they're gonna, we tried, we really tried. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You had no intention. And when the Republicans get up there and they're just like, well, we didn't try because, fuck that. That's not profit. And I was like, well, at least that was honest. You hate us all, but you're not going to lie about it. I love that, whatever. The thing of it is with transparency, they can't get away with shit anymore. But we have to enforce that. So, bigger minds than I are going to be the ones that come up with the ways that we're going to go forward. All I know is what I've seen, what I've observed, what I've witnessed. And I can tell you that it isn't until we come together and we decide even if it's just 10% of us, even if it's just 20% of it, but we decide that we're not taking this shit no more. And by God, they need to be transparent. And by God, they need to get the hell out of, politicians' pockets. And by God, they got to get out of the law too. They got to get away from those judges and stuff like that. They're everywhere. The tendrils are everywhere. The stickiness, they're everywhere. It's only going to be through us making the decision that we will no longer accept shitty behavior from people with no morals. And I'm not talking about morals, Christian moral values, whatever, weirdness. No. I'm talking about the humanity has to come first. The planet has to come first. And if you're doing anything other than that, you're really fucking us all. One of the things that I learned too is that if I hurt you, I hurt myself. There's no reason for a violent agenda for that reason alone. If I hurt you, I hurt the collective. If I hurt the collective, I hurt myself. There's no reason for me to hurt you because then I hurt myself. And these guys are out there hurting people every day and stomping on people and walking all over them. And the hell with the ecology. Let's just strip mine the entire mountain and lay it waste. Hell, fuck them. Fuck the future. Fuck them. I don't just want them to pay for these sins in their afterlife. I need for this to change. I want this to change in my lifetime, or at least start heading in that direction and once we get an idea in our head that we're not going to put up with this shit, that we have higher expectations from our officials, and we have higher, and when they don't, and then we can, peaceful protest. By the way, I watched when the protests were going on, when they first started kicking off, and then I saw these, people would show up with flak suits and guns and batons and be starting to, hit glass and destroy things. And I was like, oh, these are the agents of the enemy. Because everybody around in those protests, this was like middle-class humanity. They don't want to go busting up shit. They ain't interested in that. They ain't interested in tearing stuff up, but those people are. And when those people are sent to be a part of these protests, then the bad guys, corporate America can send in the cops and the militarized police to break it up. Just so that they can, well, we're keeping you, this is about keeping you safe. This isn't about, us and our policies. This has to do with keeping you safe. That's a load of shit. Because them's the folks that were putting those violent people in there to begin with. I don't really know what we're going to do about that, but we need to be aware that the operatives are there. Antifa did not exist until that shit started happening. And then they kind of created an Antifa, and I don't really know that much about it, so I can't speak on it. I don't know. But like Chipotle, very look for suspicious behavior. Look for shit that points to shit. Let your thinking do your thinking, and then let your heart do your deciding. Because Chipotle, no problem. They're doing great. Matter of fact, record profits, they're doing fantastic. And then all of a sudden, boom, problem in Seattle. Boom, problem on the East Coast. Boom, problem here. Boom, problem there. They're getting their produce locally. So what is that problem exactly? That E. coli, what is that? Well, that was the food industry freaking the hell out because Chipotle was going to introduce a new way of doing things that was going to be healthier for you and me. And they had to put a stop to that shit because it was going to put a stop to their profit. I was watching, and that's why I know. I was like, well, that's really suspicious as all hell. The Wuhan and the lab there and the virus starting there, crossing species, that's horseshit. That's the same bullshit they told you about AIDS too, and by the way, isn't that? I don't know. There's something probably suspicious about that one as well. But I mean, the Wuhan lab was actually working on the coronavirus, and it was actually working on making it a stronger, more lethal virus to protect you. We would only do this to protect you. Why don't you believe us? To protect us, to find ways to protect us away from having this being used as a biological weapon against us. There's nothing suspicious going on. Oh, that never happened. I mean, Google it. It never happened. You people, go ahead and pay attention to what these people are doing, because when you look at it, you're like, oh, this is so suspicious. Oh, that is so suspicious. Oh, that is so suspicious. It really is suspicious as all get out. And I know they're taking us for a fool, and they're taking us for a ride, and they're taking us on a narrative, and they're like, just listen to the story and be lulled into a false sense of security, and pay attention to what the Kardashians are doing, because God knows they matter. Not at all. Every now and then I catch myself reading an article about a rich person and thinking, what the fuck am I doing? I don't give a shit about these people. They don't matter two wits to me. Nothing. And the Ukraine issue, I mean, anybody who is put in a war-torn situation is just beleaguered beyond belief. But where was the battle cry for Yemen or for Iraq? Where was the battle cry for all these countries where people were put into war situations that were not really deserving of them? And the biolabs in the Ukraine, suspicious. Hunter Biden in Ukraine, suspicious. Again, I can't go Democrat or Republican. One just seems to be a little more open than the other. A little more truthful about being a prick. But this isn't the dystopian nightmare system that I want to live in anymore. And so I want to make changes, and I want you to get excited about making changes with me, because we're doing it for our kids, and we're doing it for our grandkids, and we're doing it for the generations that come later. Whoever told us we were naked, they were lying to us. They were lying. We were not naked. We were fine. And we can be fine again, but we're going to have to make a decision that we're not okay with this system anymore, and that we are going to make a stand, and we're not going to take any nonsense. And whenever they send out they're really brilliant, ways that they have to further their agenda. We need to be smarter and be ready the next time and keep going. So my call is out for civil disobedience, for protest, for humanity, for the planet. Because if we aren't acting from a position of love, then we have lost ourselves, just as they have lost themselves. I do have to say, not every rich person is a bad person, so I would never say eat the rich, because that'll only give you gout. But I would say that transparency will create a different place to live in. Then we can all come together and make decisions as to whether this is an okay decision or if this is not. Oh, and about buying patents for innovative product and then killing it because it would kill your industry. I say the minute that they bury that shit, we resurface it and say, up for bid, up for bid. Whoever wants it, first come, first serve. and not allow those things to be buried anymore. Innovation just to be brought out. It's public knowledge. Yeah, public knowledge. How's that? Public. You can't buy a patent. It's public. It belongs to all of us. I like that. Okay, well, let's find some more brilliant ideas and let's get this shit rolling, because I'm tired of this motherfucker. We'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye.